Hi there. I hope you've been having a good week. Now, before we dig back into N.T. Wright's Surprised by Hope, let's recap. In this class so far, you've done, I think, 10 important and interesting things as you've learned about Christian theology. They're all on the slide. First, you defined faith as a quality of both intellectual assent and emotional trust, an episteme that allows one to do theology, a different mode of knowledge. Second, you defined theology as a way of discovery, wherein believers can use scripture and tradition in order to act in just and compassionate ways. You've also defined God the Father as the world's creator and ruler, fully expressed in Jesus, defined revelation as God's self-disclosure and vulnerability, reviewed the covenant's paradigms of creation, theological anthropology, and sin, and foregrounded Jesus' humanity, healing power, and solidarity. Significantly, you've also re-examined the elements of covenant ecclesiology, the way churches form communities. Through the ecclesiology of disability propounded by Jenny Weiss-Block, and gotten a good dose of the covenant's views of baptism and Holy Communion, especially as those two sacraments relate strongly to the church's four marks. Plus, a couple modules ago, you reviewed Frisk's temporal vision of eschatology and covenant affirmations, and contrasted that sharply with George Tinker's spatial vision of the eschaton from his work as an Osage theologian and native activist. Most recently, you've investigated the first half of Tom Wright's Surprised by Hope, and examined his claims about the ecclesial and secular confusion, about Jesus' resurrection and ascension to heaven. Now, in this module, you'll evaluate the rest of Wright's text. Our module thesis for this time around is as follows. You can see it on the slide. Wright connects Jesus' resurrection and the redemption of creation to God's mission in the world. As before, the next two videos will be pretty dense. In the first video, you will run through chapters 9 through 12 of Wright's text, where he examines Jesus' arrival as the once and future judge of humankind, as well as the redemption of human bodies, classical and popular visions of the afterlife, and the concept of salvation. The second video will examine chapters 13 through 15, where Wright will connect all his other conclusions to God's mission in the world. He will link his definition of salvation in chapter 12 to strategies that help believers to build the kingdom, or rather build for the kingdom here on earth, study the biblical roots of God's mission, and attempt to persuade his readers that we have to live into God's future. Now, these are tall orders. But having said all that discourse should describe the contours of your single short assignment. In light of the reading, particularly all of Wright's text, please write me a 300-word précis summarizing Wright's view of the last days. Now, this differs slightly from your previous assignment in the last module, and I'll happily explain that at the end of this module. And after all that, I think we can allow Mr. Moon, pictured on the slide, to count us in. When you're ready, steady, go.